Okay, so this is our last new piece. This is piece 180, and it's the last piece that will be eligible to be on this year's modified AP exam. So typically, of course, we would go all the way to 250, but things are different right now, and we're all just doing the best we can. So this is the one of the 4 veranda posts from the Yoruba people. And it's important to note here that it would have been brighter. It would have been more vibrant in color. Right now, you can see some of the paint mostly on the senior wife who's standing behind the king, this woman. She looks a little bit like an avatar or something because of her coloring, but you can see a little bit of color there. It would have been brighter. This is 5 feet tall, and it's wood and pigment. So it's fine if you just want to call this veranda post. We know that the king is the one seated on the throne, and his senior wife is standing in front of or behind him. And then his junior wife is kneeling here at his feet. And so there's definitely this sense of hierarchical scale between the wives. Now, it may strike you as odd that the king is smaller, but he's on the throne. And so that's kind of our understanding of the power and authority represented in this object. Now, being a veranda is like an outside porch. It is an area that is covered, and so this is one of the posts. This would be like a column, right? So this is a figurative column, not unlike what we see with the caryatids from the Acropolis in Greece, which is at the Erechtheion. The Erechtheion is part of the Acropolis. It's the treasury. It's the place where Poseidon and Athena fought for the city. And remember that at one point, Poseidon dropped his trident, and it made a hole in the patio there at the Erechtheion, and then that's also where Athena planted the olive tree. And so these figurative columns are not totally new. It's not totally unexpected, but it is different from what we typically see when we think of a column. Right. So we're going to watch just the first part of the Smart History video because really they're talking about a different piece that they go into the form and content of. It's one of the other 4 pieces from that palace. But I want you guys to kind of get some of the understanding of the artist and the context.
We're in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in their galleries devoted to the art of Africa. Looking at this large sculpture, which was originally a veranda post. That is, it was this vertical sculpture originally intended to be among the structural posts of a palace porch.
This was created for a palace among the Yoruba in Nigeria by a well-known artist named Oluwe of Ise, and Ise is a region in South.
So Oluwe is our artist. Back up right here. Oluwe is our artist. The Yoruba is the people group. Man, can't get that right. And Nigeria is the present day country. There we go. And so again, this veranda, you can kind of see it in this picture here, but it's a covered kind of outdoor porch on the side of the palace, and it had 4 of these standing veranda posts. And so this one, which in this photo of 3 is in the center, is our piece that we have in the canon. So this would be an unknown, an attribution. So they're going to talk about this other one here.
And Ise is a region in southwestern Nigeria where this artist came from.
There are numerous royal objects that this artist produced. This particular sculpture at the Met shows.
So we're going to stop there just because they're, again, looking at a piece that we don't look at. So, all right. So one of the things I want to point out here, let's back up. Is Aloe is a well-known wood carver, and he was known for being able to capture the essence of an object within a piece of wood. And so, whenever we look at Frank Lloyd Wright, and we talked about this concept of genius loci, the fact that he could look at a landscape and he could go, I can see what goes there, right? And that he was actually, according to many people, he made the landscape the environment more beautiful than it was without the structure. And I think that we can certainly say that's true with Falling Water, maybe not for some of his other buildings, but for Falling Water. And so Alewe was known for having this kind of genius loci of being able to look at a piece of wood and be able to see the possibilities of how he can utilize that chunk of wood in the best possible way, right? Cutting away as little as possible to have the largest sculpture possible, right? Being able to fill um, that object. And so this is made out of a single piece of wood. This is not where he carved different pieces and then glued them together. This is all one single piece of wood. And so probably the most important form or visual description here would have to be about the use of his positive and negative space. And so if we look, we can see that the objects or the figures themselves, they are the positive space, right? And this area between and around them is going to be our negative space. And so he's able to cut that away in such a way that he can depict, there were 5 figures on here, now there's 4. So the other one that was on here, you can see his his feet down here where he's attached, but he was on the other side of the king. And so this object is very much about the power and authority of the king, but then also it's about the role of the senior wife and the junior wife. And so while our focus, and we know that the societal focus would have been on him, their roles as wives are supporting his role to lead the Yoruba people. So the senior wife would have had a pretty significant impact on the king. She would have actually been the one to put the crown on his head at coronation. And we can see the crown here, it's this thing with the bird. And she would have supported him. She would have reinforced his right to rule. And of course, the wives would have been the bearers of the next kings, right? And so they have that important role of queen mother as well, not just wife. The junior wife is important, but not as much, right? I mean, she's kneeling on the ground at his feet and she's much smaller. And then this on the side is likely an isu. Isu was kind of like a gesture. He was there to entertain the king. He was also there for comic relief. And then on the other side would have been a fan bearer. So he has servants, he has entertainment, he has both his wives, he has his throne, and he has all of this depicted within the context of the palace. And so this is really about power and authority. This is really about his right to rule and his support as a king. Here is a context picture of what it looked like when it was in place. And you can see there's a little bit of a capital at the top and then a little bit of a base. But I like this picture because it shows you in the round how this object was viewed. And you can really see the positive and negative relationship here of space. Elaborate hairstyles, the things at so these coiffeurs, and then the things around their waist, these are beads, which are supposed to reinforce, kind of show their power, but also reinforce the cylindrical nature there that he's established with the figures. Obviously, very stylized forms. So Lewe is not only considering the form, the solid part of the sculpture, he's also considering the decorative qualities, the paint, the bead that he carves on, any sort of ornamentation on the skin and costume. right, that's it. The last part of what I've included in the Google Slides for Content Area 6 is a review that will take you through all the pieces we studied in Africa. The main idea, and I want you guys, as you look at the pieces, to be considering, okay, what are the main ideas of this work? What themes would apply to this work? And again, Content Area 5 and Content Area 6 is going to rely heavily on ceremony, ritual, power and authority, man in the natural world. Okay. Think about the function and then see if you can remember what the people group was. And so each one is in here for you to kind of look through and see what you remember. All right, that's it.